Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new edition of To The Point with me, Frank Pereira. My guest on the show this week is a very senior BJP leader. He's been the Chief Minister of Karnataka in the past, Union Railways Minister as well in the past, and currently he holds the Union Law portfolio. It is my pleasure to welcome on the program Mr. D V Sadananda Gowda. Gowda, namaskara. Welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You know, your ministry can be extremely complicated if we delve into it. So let's not go right into it, but try and get an overview of everything that you do. As Law Minister, what are your three top priorities?
See, practically, as you rightly said, it is the one ministry which has to traverse all over the ministries, right from the PM's office up to the last ministry in the government. Of course, but still, we play an important role in all the activities of the government. Our top priorities are, as rightly said by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Modi ji, make the law simple and it is easily accessible to the common man. And pendency of the cases across the country is so huge that has to be reduced at the earliest. Speedy justice is one of the important areas that we want to see that a transparency in judiciary, especially by bringing more and more IT initiatives and computerizing all the courts across the country. We want to see that some laws has to be amended so that ease of doing business in India, it should be one of the prime areas. These are the various areas that we want to traverse during our 5 years.
You spoke about 5 years and what you want to achieve in 5 years, but what have the achievements of the law ministry been in the last 1 year? You just completed 1 year.
Sir, major achievements have been done. Almost all 14,249 subordinate courts have been computerized. Already Supreme Court and High Courts are already computerized. Even the subordinate courts have been computerized. Phase 1 of the computerization is over. We have cleaned the statute book. We have almost all removed nearly more than 1,000 old redundant and obsolete laws from the law book so that confusion has to be reduced. We have brought some new amendments to various acts, especially for ease of doing business. Commercial benches in the High Court, that is the need of the hour. We have already introduced a bill in the Parliament. We have already taken up a national litigation policy wherein the filing of cases between the departments, between the government entities and between the departments of various departments of the government, that has to be reduced. So we are bringing a national litigation policy. It has been referred to the cabinet, and we want to see that arbitration is one of the important area, because development and especially investment in India is one of the prime areas that we need to cover. So Arbitration Act needs a drastic amendments. So we have worked on it and we have sent it for the cabinet approval. So these are the several areas that we have traversed since last 1 year.
Talking about the Arbitration Act, I have something very interesting here. In fact, it is the Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi who has termed the current Arbitration Act a complete failure and said that the process of arbitration in the country has become a joke.
Yeah, I do agree and I do concede for that only we are bringing a stringent amendment to the Arbitration Act. You see, arbitration in our country, it takes such a huge time, and even afterwards arbitration award is coming out, then also the courts will interfere and it will take its own time. Nobody is prepared to have any arbitration in India. Everybody runs to Singapore, everybody runs to London.
Yes.
So we already brought a very stringent amendments to the present Arbitration Act, and within a stipulated period the arbitration has to be completed. The fee structure, that has to be decided in the first sitting itself, and even the interference of the court, that has to be reduced to a considerable extent. These are the things that we have already worked out, and we want to table it in the next session of the Parliament. Already I have moved the cabinet note for approval from the cabinet.
Okay. You spoke about pendency of cases in your first answer, and that is a major problem. Correct me if I am wrong, but there are over 40 lakh pending cases that are going on in several courts across the country. So how do you plan on bringing the number of cases down?
Sir, I will say that what you said is very, it is not the correct number. 2.64 crore cases are pending across the country, right from the subordinate courts up to the Supreme Court. In Supreme Court itself, nearly 60,000 cases are pending. Even in the High Court, about 44 lakh cases are pending in the High Courts. This is one of the important area that we need to tackle. See, we have got several other platforms. We are now thinking pre-litigation conciliation and mediation centers we are starting. We are giving much importance for Lok Adalat. You will wonder, last December we had a mega Lok Adalat, last December 6th. 44 lakh cases which are pending in the court have been disposed of. We are bringing certain amendments to various acts, so that Motor Vehicles Act or Negotiable Instrument Act, such act, so that it should be disposed of early. See, national judicial appointments, that is one of the areas that we have to. Already 25% of the judges that has been enhanced. Thereby, at present there are about 15,000 to 16,000 subordinate judges. It will be enhanced about 21,000, and even High Court, it is round about 900 and odd judges High Court. Now it will be enhanced to nearly 1,150. So these are the areas that we are taking care of. So certainly, by doing all this exercise, we hope that it will be reduced. I would like to place on record that since last 1 year, 2013 December, there were about 2.68 crore cases across the country. Of course, pending cases. Filing also increases similarly.
Yes.
But in spite of that, this year, December 2014, this has been reduced to 2.64 crore. So about 40 lakh cases have been reduced comparatively.
It is reduced and not increased is what you want to point out.
No, because it would have been if the percentage of cases filing and percentages cases of disposal, if you take that, this disposal rate has been increased.
Yes.
But in spite of that, we are giving more and more infrastructure. This IT initiatives, it will give sufficient reduction in the disposal of the cases, because we can file the case through to the court without going into directly into the court.
Indeed.
We want to see that the evidence from the prison itself has to be recorded. For that, computerized activities are on process.
So the issue of infrastructure in the judiciary is also being addressed, is what you're saying?
Yes, certainly. See, sir, last 1 year, we have completed about 14,249 subordinate courts are there. We have got more than that. We have got buildings and other things. Now about 2,000 buildings are under construction. Computerization is one of the important area where everybody e-filing, he can get the copy of the judgment, he can get all the evidence. He need not, so the time of the court also will be saved, and meanwhile the disposal rate also will increase.
Indeed. And it's not just the subordinate courts and some of the High Courts or the Supreme Court, but even the CBI courts where several cases are pending. Is that something that you're addressing? Is that something that you're looking at keenly?
Sir, the CBI court, it is not comes under the purview of the, it is an independent and autonomous body. So CBI has got its own courts, they have got their own prosecutors, they have got their own judges. All these things, they are also speeding up nowadays. Nowadays, increase of cases in CBI, anti-corruption and other things. Of course, as you rightly said, there are huge pendency in CBI cases courts also. We are working on it, how it should be reduced.
You know, that the need of the hour, or you know, with changing times, you need to change the laws and change some of the acts as well. Is that something that you're reviewing and looking at on a constant basis? For instance, the CRPC or the CVPC needs to be amended so that it suits the present needs.
No, already there are several provisions under CPC and CRPC. Even CPC section 89, it was recently amended. It has given a moral boost for disposal of the cases outside the court, how it should be disposed of. Alternative dispute resolution mechanism, that is one of the important areas that we are working on it. We hope that at present, for the time being, there are no such proposals, especially this CRPC and IPC. that comes under the Home Department. We are only Ministry of Law and Justice, we are only drafting and vetting and we are sending it back to them. Yes, there are certain proposals, amendment of section 498A and all these things are there, but it has not come to us for drafting.
Let's talk about lawyers now. Of course, there are several crores of lawyers in the country who are, trying to make their, ends meet. But as far as social security for the lawyers are concerned, it's not present at all. So is that something that you're looking at to provide some kind of social security to the lawyers? For instance, even if a lawyer applies for a credit card or a bank loan, he does not get it just because of his profession.
There is one lawyers advocates welfare fund. There is one concept called advocates welfare fund, wherein certain funds that will be accrue after certain funds are being given by the government. Even the state government takes much initiative. Young lawyers, several state governments are giving stipends to the young advocates who are just entering into their practice and all that. And advocates welfare fund, through that the advocates are being feeded at present.
Foreign lawyers are not allowed to practice in India, not even allowed to consult in India. So is there something that you're looking at where you can change that, and maybe there is some kind of an exchange program between countries for lawyers?
Several law firms, foreign law firms are interested in practicing in India. Similarly, several Indian firms are also interested. Some at present also we can see some firms are based in London and other things, but it will be taken into consideration after due consultation with the Bar Council of India and other bar associations, because the advocates also should cooperate and there should not be any confusion. Already we had one round of talks with the Bar Council chairman, so that because now it is a developing country, so many investors are coming from various foreign countries, so they want to have their own advocates who can assist for their legal assistance here. Similarly, we are also from India also, several firms are based in various parts of the world. So we want to have mutual exchange and all. I had been to Qatar about 1 month back for an international conference, wherein I had talks with the Minister of Justice of Qatar, and I had been to Russia for another conference. There also I had discussions with the Minister of Justice. So we agreed to have mutual exchange of our advocate fraternity, so that they can have their base in those countries.
Indeed, there's so much to talk about. We've already touched upon several of the crucial subjects, but there are two very crucial subjects we've still not touched upon. That of course is the Anti-Cow Slaughter Bill and NJAC. We'll talk about that as well with the Law Minister on the other side of this short break. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television in conversation with the Union Law Minister, Mr. D V Sadananda Gowda. Mr. Gowda, let's talk about the Anti-Cow Slaughter Bill. Now, there are several BJP ruled states that have already brought in the bill. Home Minister Rajnath Singh a couple of months ago said that he's going to try and make it a nationwide bill and bring it as soon as possible. So what's the story as far as the Anti-Cow Slaughter Bill is concerned?
So of course our country from ancient times, we are seeing cow as one of the godly natured animal. So practically there is an intention, there is a mood in the people across the country that this cow slaughtering has to be banned. But it needs wider consultation. At one stretch we can't go and take this cow slaughter bill immediately. Now various states have already started doing it. Rajnath Singh has already said that yes, there is a need, but still it requires wider consultation. We should consult with the stakeholders, we should have interactions with the think tanks, and then only we should go ahead with this.
Is it because that you do not have the numbers that you would require in the Rajya Sabha to pass a bill like this at the national level that you're not going forward with it?
No, it is not true, because certain things after consultation only we should come to a conclusion. Taking a very nasty and hasty steps without consulting, then it creates some sort of confusion, it creates some sort of confrontation. So we don't want to go that. We want to see that all these things should be discussed in a wider sense, and then we have to come to a conclusion.
Is there consensus in the party? Because it doesn't seem so, because just a couple of weeks ago there was a major controversy with Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi saying that all those who want to eat beef should go to Pakistan or the UAE or some other country and consume beef, and immediately we saw one of your Minister of States, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, come out and say, I'm going to eat beef, who's going to stop me?
Of course, for this purpose only I told that there should be consensus. How consensus has to be evolved? Only sitting across the table, if you discuss, certainly you can come to a consensus. Just talking somewhere in Calcutta, somebody talks in Mumbai, it doesn't solve the, for that reason we should have more dynamic way of approach with all the persons, so that we should convince each and everybody this should be banned.
But banning cow slaughter, in a way, several people say is anti-Dalit, because if you look at the Dalits, their main staple food, their main source of proteins and main source of food, of course, is beef, because they cannot afford mutton or any of the other red meats. So would you agree with that?
No, I don't think so. In certain areas, especially in certain parts of Karnataka, I have seen Dalits, they keep far away from eating beef. They just whenever there are certain occasions, they just see cow as one of the godly this one, and they will have prayers in front of cow and all that. We have seen across the country. There may be certain parts, I don't say that in each and every part of the country it is like that. It may vary from place to place, but there are a few persons who may who are consuming this beef. Of course, they has to be pacified, they should be convinced, and we should see that this cow should be treated as one of the animals which we should take more respect towards cow.
So you're going to take a large scale consensus and take everyone forward, and
yes,
only then bring
yes,
this bill, is what
yes,
you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on now and talk about the National Judicial Appointments Commission. You know, the government and the Supreme Court seem to be at loggerheads as far as appointment of judges to the higher courts are concerned. Where does the matter stand right now? How are you going to convince the Supreme Court that that is the way forward?
I don't agree with you. See, each and every law which is passed by the Parliament or which is passed by any legislature, it can have a judicial scrutiny by the courts. Independent of judiciary and independence of the Parliament, it is entirely different. Parliament will not encroach upon the independence of the judiciary. At the same time, certain scrutinies, judicial scrutinies of certain acts which has been passed by the Parliament, it is a constitutional right of each and every individual. So it is not a confrontation, it is only judicial scrutiny. Finally, a judgment will come which will be followed by each and every person across the country. So we will respect the rule of law. We will not override. It is not at all a confrontation. But one thing we must look into, that the whole Parliament, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, wholeheartedly, without any opposition, passed that bill, that constitutional amendment. Even that bill also passed National Judicial Appointment Committee as bill as passed. But certainly there may be certain doubts for a few persons who have gone to the court, so that there will be a judicial scrutiny, and finally a result will come out.
You know, the Supreme Court in this particular case has come out and said that, you know, the collegium system is fine, let it continue, there's nothing wrong with the collegium system. The more you try and get yourself involved in it, because the Supreme Court very clearly stated that there are probably only about 5 cases out of 100 where it is sent back saying that, you know, why don't you review this? So looking at that track record, why do you want the collegium system to be replaced by this NJAC?
I will not discuss much about this, because the matter is pending before the Supreme Court. But if I say something, it may amount to sub judice. But one thing I am going to say is, this appointment of judges is not an integral part of the independence of judiciary. It is an executive function. It is the appointment of judges executive function. So the executive function should not be there with the judiciary. That is what we mean. Earlier to 1993, the system was entirely different. After 2 or 3 judgments, various judgments, all the judgments differ. One of the judgments says that yes, this commission, National Judicial Appointment Commission, should be there. Earlier, a type of National Judicial Appointment Commission should come. That was the observations made by the earlier judgments. In another judgment, it was said that it should be entirely with the judiciary. It should not be with the executive. There were, but today you can see how it is done. The Chief Justice himself is chairing the National Judicial Appointment Committee. 2 senior judges of the Supreme Court will be there. 2 eminent persons will be appointed by a team headed by the Honorable Prime Minister.
Yes.
A opposition leader will be there. The Chief Justice of India will be there. So it is not a appointment by one party or one ruling party or somebody. So very transparently it has been drafted. Only from the executive, the law minister will be there. 2 eminent personalities who has nothing to do with either with the judiciary or with the executive. 2 independent persons will be there. 3 persons from the judiciary will be there. So it will be very transparent. Even in some other countries, this sort of appointments are being done. I am telling only this much. It is an executive function. It cannot be a judicial function.
Okay. So till the time, you yourself said that this matter is in the court and you do not want to talk too much about it, but till the time that this matter is settled, how are the judges of the higher courts going to be appointed? Is status quo going to remain and the collegium system going to continue till then?
See, I congratulate the Supreme Court. They said that this matter will be heard at the earliest and it will be disposed. During the holidays also they are sitting and doing it. Really we should appreciate the concerns of the Supreme Court, because till then all the judges whose term expires, it will be continued. Already an interim order has been given by the Supreme Court that they will be continued. Only new appointments could not be done. All other process will go on. But for a small period, these appointments are stalled because of this judicial scrutiny. But soon after that, it will continue.
Okay.
Either by the National Judicial Appointment Committee or by the collegium if it is struck down.
All right. Let's move on now and talk about Article 370, because that was one of the major poll issues when the BJP came to power in 2014. Where does the party stand officially as far as Article 370?
Sir, Article 370, Ram Temple, all these issues is the assurance given by our party. In our manifesto, we have said to the people, if you come into the power, then certainly we will look into this matter. But
look into it or deliver on it.
No, we will deliver it. But that itself is not the priority. Now the priority is development, good governance. These are the priority areas. At the same time, this Article 370 or Ram Temple, there a wider concentration need to be there. A consensus has to come. See, we are our coalition partner there in Kashmir. He is vehemently opposing Article 370, but he is with us for the time being. We are the ruling partners. Now, day by day, we will try to convince him, and we will see that in the larger interest of the country, Article 370 is one of the important areas that we need to traverse. So, certainly we will work on it. We will not leave it. Whatever we promised to the people, it will be done, but not in a very
not immediately.
Not very hasty manner, without consulting the people of the country, stakeholders. We should consult. We should for Ram Mandir. For example, Ram Mandir. A few persons who were opposed earlier from the Muslim community, they have come with us now. Yes, you can construct there for construction of masjid. Some other land should be given. See, slowly this is working. So it will take some time. But it is there in our agenda. It is in the party agenda. But it is not the priority area of the government at present, because so many other things need to be done at the earliest. So slowly we will take up that issue also together.
All right. Finally, of course, one last question before I let you go. Very recently, the Indian Army carried out a very daring attack, entering into Myanmar soil and eliminating India's threat. What do you have to say about that?
Say, in Jharkhand and Myanmar, 2 very brave and very daring steps that have been taken by our soldiers. It is quite appreciable, because today their activities are even supported by the government also. Very, very confidentially they did it. Till the work is over, nobody was aware how very secretly it has been done. That shows that India's strength is going day by day. India.
Will we see more such attacks?
Yes, certainly as far as terrorists are concerned, as far Maoists are concerned, as far other anti-country activities are concerned, certainly our soldiers will take.
We've seen it in the east, will we see it in the west?
Well, we hope so. We hope so.
All right, on that note,
Yes.
Mr. Gowda, thank you so much for joining us on the program. We'll have to call it a wrap. I enjoyed having you on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have. See you again next week. Bye-bye.